Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you are here today because today I want to talk about all the books I read in February. So just to kick this off, I just want to say this is going to be a little bit shorter video because I completed less books than usual. I read as usual, I think, but some books that I read in February I didn't manage to finish, so I will talk about those books next month in my March wrap-up. And these books were The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett and The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss, which is the second book in the Kingkiller Chronicle series. And I read both of these books in February, but I haven't finished them, so I will just include them in the next month's wrap-up. So, in the month of February, I have read and completed 3 books, which is not that much, but again, considering I read also other books, it's completely fine. I'm not complaining by any means. But yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So the first book that I read in February was Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire, which is the first book in the Wayward Children series. I decided to read it because Sasha from The Wild Sasha created the readathon based on this series, and it's one of her favorite series, so I just wanted to check it out. And also the book is less than 200 pages long, so I thought I would just check it out. I'm just going to read you the blurb because I think that's just much easier to, in order to sum up the book or like to say what the book is about without any spoilers. So I'm just going to read the blurb and then I'll talk about what I thought. Okay, so Eleanor West's home for wayward children. No solicitations, no visitors, no quests. Children have always disappeared under the right conditions, slipping through the shadows under a bed or at the back of a wardrobe, tumbling down rabbit holes and into old wells and emerging somewhere else. But magical lands have little need for used-up miracle children. Nancy tumbled once, but now she's back. The things she's experienced, they change a person. The children under Miss West's care understand all too well, and each of them is seeking a way back to their own fantasy world. But Nancy's arrival marks a change at the home. There is a darkness just around each corner, and when tragedy strikes, it's up to Nancy and her newfound schoolmates to get to the heart of the matter, no matter the cost. So this book is physically a fantasy series, I believe for children, even though it is often classified as for adults. I don't know where that came from, but from my point of view, it is definitely for children or middle grade or YA, because to be honest, there is quite some gore scenes, so be prepared for that because I didn't know this at all and I was really surprised by this. So be prepared for that. But yeah, we follow Nancy coming into this school for wayward children, which is full of children who wandered into other worlds and then came back. Now these worlds are supposed to be perfect for them, for like each of the child wanders into different world that is absolutely perfect for them, and then when they come back they struggle because either their parents don't believe them or they just struggle to be back in the real world that is not for them. So we follow these children and it was very interesting, but I have to say that when I read this book I finally realized, or I finally am confident now to say that portal fantasy is not for me, and there is just something that bothers me about a little bit. I never really read Narnia, or if I did it was like 20 years ago, so I don't count that as I like the series or anything, but I read some other books with portal fantasy and that was not my thing. I don't know. It's just not my thing. Anyway, so I think it was alright. It was very quick read, but it didn't take my heart and I feel absolutely no need to continue with the books. I don't really care about these children. It's kind of mean to say, but I just wasn't attached to any of them or that I would need to know more about them. It was just all so bizarre and I wasn't ready for it. But if you like portal fantasy and bizarre situations and bizarre moments, this could be a great book for you, but it definitely wasn't for me, so I gave it 2 stars. The next book I read was The Scorch Trials by James Dashner, which is the second book in the Maze Runner series. So I'm not going to read what it's about because that could spoil the first book. Let me just say this is a dystopian sci-fi series for young adults. And I read these books first, or I read this series first, I think like 10 years ago. And now there are new books coming out, so I decided to reread it because I didn't remember anything. I remember the first book, but the rest I didn't really remember. So I wanted to reread before I read the new books. And so I read this one. It is pretty quick read, and while I did enjoy it, I didn't enjoy it as much as I did when I read it for the first time. I'm not sure why, just back then it just felt like it was so much fun, so interesting, so intense, but now it just felt a little bit over the top. Yeah, I'm not sure, but previously I rated it 4 stars, now I knocked the rating down to 3 stars. But I definitely will be continuing with the series. The next book in the series is The Death Cure, and yeah, it's just fun YA dystopian world, so it's always fun to read. So that's the Scorch Trials. And also I read the other book, or the other part in the series, the Maze Runner series, called Thomas's First Memory of the Flare, I believe it's called. And it's supposed to be read after this book, because it kind of is a scene taken out from this book, because it's a little bit more explicit and cruel. So it was taken out from this book, so it's basically just one scene. It's about 3 pages, so it's not a book, but on Goodreads it actually counts as a book, so yeah, that's why I'm mentioning it. But I read that, and I think it provides very interesting insight on what the flare is and how it influences people, and I think it was very touching, even though it was only like 3 pages. That's the Maze Runner series. And then the last book I want to talk about that I read in February was The Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lin Tan, which is the first book in Celestial Kingdom duology. It came out just a month ago, 2 months ago, and it is basically classified as adult fantasy, and we had it as a Moony book club read with G Patreons. So I read it, and I absolutely adore the cover. The cover is absolutely beautiful. Actually, both editions, both American and the UK cover, I love them both so much, so I was really excited to read this book. But yeah, let me read the blurb again. I think that's the best way to start. So, growing up on the moon, Jingin is accustomed to solitude, unaware that she is being hidden from the feared celestial emperor who exiled her mother for stealing his elixir of immortality. But when Jingin's magic flares and her existence is discovered, she is forced to flee her home, leaving her mother behind. Alone, powerless, and afraid, she makes her way to the Celestial Kingdom, a land of wonder and secrets. Disguising her identity, she seizes an opportunity to learn alongside the Emperor's son, mastering archery and magic even as passion flames between her and the prince. To save her mother, Jingin embarks on a perilous quest, confronting legendary creatures and vicious enemies across the earth and skies. But when treachery looms and forbidden magic threatens the kingdom, she must challenge the ruthless Celestial Emperor for her dream, striking a dangerous bargain in which she is torn between losing all she loves or plunging the realm into chaos. So it sounds pretty cool, it sounds pretty adventurous and like action-packed. There is a little bit of fantasy, there is training, there is love, there is adventures and fights and politics. And I have to say that my favorite part of the book was actually the descriptions of the surroundings. Because for some reason I absolutely adore the colorful gardens in Japan and China, and these beautiful trees and buildings, and how it all just seems so peaceful and zen, and I absolutely adore that scenery, and it was so beautifully described in this book, so I enjoyed it so much. I also enjoyed the romance a little bit. That was pretty cool. One part of the romance I enjoyed. Then there was another part I don't want to go into in order to avoid spoilers, but that part was absolutely annoying, and if you wanna discuss it further, please let me know, because I would love to. But yeah, that's all I can say for now. But the thing is, with this book, why I feel a little bit like on edge, you can tell that I'm not really excited about it, right? The thing is that it started really interesting and intriguing, because as it says in the blurb that nobody knows about the doctor, and when somebody finds out that there is some like magic shift, she needs to flee, and she needs to leave her mother behind in order to save everyone. So she disappears. So that part was really interesting, and I thought it would be discovered more, but it wasn't. Her mother was not in the story almost at all, which was also a little bit frustrating. I think I was just like oversaturated with fantasy at that point when I was reading this book. that everything just seemed so repetitive. And yeah, I'm not sure if to assign that to the book or to me, my mindset at that point. I'm not sure. And I just found it boring, and I just wanted it to end, and I was so frustrated. I was like, please let it end already, because some things didn't make any sense. Some things were way too hard. Like, there's so much action packed in the last part of the book. The book could have easily been cut 100 pages shorter and make a second book about this part in the end, which was, I don't know, maybe like 10% of the book. The last 10% of the book, which was insane. So much happened and it didn't seem to have any point. I don't know. But then I have to say that in the end, it kind of ended the way I wanted. So I was so relieved. I was actually crying. I was so relieved. It ended the way I wanted to, because I was so frustrated from the entire book. I don't know. It was just such a strange reading experience. I don't know what to say. But with all that being said, I really want to encourage you to read it, because it is inspired by Chinese mythology, so that is amazing, and I absolutely appreciated that, and it was great. But yeah, all in all, it wasn't for me, for my mindset at that point. But I absolutely recommend that you give it a go, because you might end up loving it, because it was good. It just wasn't what I wanted at that point. So I give it 3 stars. So yeah, that's all the books I read in February. As you can see, it wasn't the best reading month, because I got 2 3-star reads and 1 2-star read. So that's not great, but I was reading 2 other books which were really good, and I will tell you more about them next month. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know down below if you read any of these books or what you thought. And yeah, let's just talk about books, and that's what we are here for. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!